Shelter is one of the basic necessities of life for every individual on planet Earth. These include safe, decent and affordable housing, resilient infrastructure and a sustainable urban development. But right now, most West African countries, including Nigeria, are facing severe housing shortages. Urban migration, demographic growth, and high housing costs are identified as major contributors to the issue at hand. For many individuals who move to cities financially unprepared, they end up being stranded, and to meet up, many resort to putting up shanties and illegal structures just to have a roof over their heads. These town planners, developers and environmentalists attribute the constituting nuisance in major cities, not to talk of security and health challenges the situation poses. So, this episode of Dateline 360 is focusing on illegal shanties and structures, implications for a developing nation like Nigeria. Thanks for joining us. I'm Momso Damien Dathi. It's good to know you're tuned in. Let's begin with this piece from our correspondent Francis Udojo, where he highlights the need for a comprehensive housing plan to close the deficit gap, taking into account measures adopted by government in enhancing urban planning while addressing illegal shanties in Nigeria.
Quality and affordable housing is the right of every citizen. It is one of the major responsibilities of government to provide an enabling environment in meeting the housing needs of the people. So far, this has become a challenge as an estimated housing deficit of 17 to 28 million in Nigeria is a much concern to government and citizens. This surge has been attributed to obsolete Land Use Act of 1978, default in land registration, documentation and titling, lacking of comprehensive housing data as well as violations of building code. Stakeholders maintained that these challenges and more gave rise to the growing number of shanties springing up in various cities of Nigeria, including the FCT. The present administration, on its part, initiated a renewed hope housing cities and estate across 7 cities, states and local government in partnership with private developers and international organizations to provide affordable housing. So far, over 10,000 housing units are underway in 14 states as it plans to deliver 100,000 housing units across the federation. Government is also providing affordable financing for individuals and organizations through the Federal Mortgage Bank. These bold steps, experts believe, will discourage illegal shanties and as well reduce the surge in housing deficit. But how far has this been achieved?
Right from the early administration of government in Nigeria, we had the Shagari houses and so on and so forth, and up to renewed hope housing. Government has been making some efforts along that line. But illegal shanties, come naturally because there are no plans for them. But when there is a plan, you can be sure that their developments are guided.
From our experience, you find that it is either we do not have enough houses available, or that the houses available are not within the threshold of affordability to our target market, who are the low and medium income earners, which is why the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria decided to venture into construction financing by financing first estate developers, and then we have had a couple of challenges. We decided now to build for specific off-takers.
To adequately address illegal shanties, experts say adherence to existing legal framework and policies must be adhered to by obtaining relevant documents from government agencies.
What brings about shanties is because people are trooping every day to the urban areas. There are rules and regulations regarding land acquisition, regarding building construction, regarding building of houses. So by the time they get to the city, they look for cheaper land where to stay. So they form settlements that are illegal, forgetting that a city has a master plan.
The right thing to do actually is to first of all provide infrastructure before the settlements. But the government cannot do it all alone. And that is why you see the proliferation of shanties all across the nation.
Where structures like shanties were deemed illegal or not are to be demolished, research revealed that such action must comply with national and international legal and human rights standards to prevent forced eviction. The process includes obtaining a court order, provide adequate and reasonable notice, have meaningful consultation with the affected residents, conduct demolition during the day. Failure to adhere to these procedures, housing experts believe, is a violation of human rights and could expose the government to legal challenge.
So if there are no laws, there are no regulations, you and I may not be able to access the city because there are mighty ones that will take it. So it is important to have regulations, and that should guide housing development, city development.
Based on public interest, certain areas are needed for redevelopment. That's a different ball game, and the government bears the brunt. But on the other way around, for the citizens, the advice is for them to do the right thing.
Anybody whose structure is demolished, most of the time they will say that they were not informed. There is no how. They have always got information. The only mistake many of them make is that, oh, when you give stop work notice, they think that you have 21 days within which to stop the work. But that's not what the law says. The law says that even within 21 days, you can serve the 3 notices, and then any demolition that is done by that time is effective.
The advice is for individuals to ensure proper registration and documentation of land, adhere to national building codes from relevant government agencies before setting up any structure to avoid litigations. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
Thank you, Francis. For many living in the shanties, clean water is a luxury, while toilets are shared. Charles Alpha examines the health risks and environmental defacement these unapproved settlements pose, as well as how better waste management could turn these challenges from waste to wealth opportunities.
Shanty or informal settlements are makeshift communities built by people who lack access to formal housing, often located on the outskirts of cities. So, what's the problem?
We are suffering for this place. We don't have any primary school, and we don't have a regional health care.
These areas are characterized by poor living conditions, overcrowding and limited infrastructure. Homes made from scavenged materials like wood, metal sheets and plastics offering little protection.
It's hard to get the means to pay for a house rent, especially in the capital center.
These communities are usually sited in unsafe areas such as floodplains, steep hillsides, or near industrial zones.
You have hard to reach areas. You have security compromised areas. Some of these areas are pretty difficult to get to, transportation and all that.
Experts say rapid urbanization and rural to urban migration continue to drive their expansion. The lack of proper drainage and sanitation turns them into breeding grounds for disease, with stagnant water attracting mosquitoes and uncollected waste contaminating water sources.
Eating in this kind of environment is something that is a dirty environment, you know, due to the drainages and the lack of the maintenance.
Experts warn that such condition threatens both human health and the environment. Doctors note that long-term exposure leads to respiratory infections, malnutrition and stunted growth in children, while pollution from poor waste disposal damages surrounding ecosystems. Environmentalists are calling for integrated approach that combines slums upgrade with sustainable waste management, including turning waste into energy or recyclable materials that can create jobs and improve living conditions.
So we are crying for federal government that they should try and do us primary school. That's our major challenge on this village.
When we have affordable housing, then these people can have a place or they can have something to live. Government has a role to subsidize house for low-income earners.
Experts say the persistence of shanty communities serves as a reminder that housing is more than just shelter. It is a human right. Until the cries from these forgotten corners are heard, the dream of clean, safe, and livable cities, experts say, will remain out of reach for millions. Charles Alpha.
Now, the menace of shanties in Abuja presents a significant and ongoing challenge, primarily driven by rapid urbanization, a housing deficit, and poverty. Hawagimba reports that these illegal settlements are widely considered by the Federal Capital Territory Administration as a hindrance to the city's urban development plan.
Shanties in Abuja continues to hinder development. Many are illegally built on land meant for roads and government projects. Research shows that many shanties are erected on land already allocated for specific developmental projects, including roads and government agency use. Their presence makes it difficult for allottees to assess and develop their properties, disrupting the implementation of the Abuja Master Plan.
Settlement evolved as a result of the need for human habitation. Now, settlements are into categories. We have the farm states, where you see a particular place where huts are built in order to have a place they could live where they are farming. We call them farm state. Construction works, as it were, in terms of new cities like the one we have in Abuja and other cities that we have had, come with their attendant problems, because people, definitely the low-income earners, are the ones who now build, talking about the artisans, the bricklayers, the masons, and the like. Some of them come from most of these villages, maybe outside the city. Most times, some of them are not even provided with accommodation where they could live in order to come for work.
Shanties often lack basic amenities such as clean water, proper sanitation, and waste disposal system, leading to significant health and environmental risks. The resulting pollution of water and soil by toxic metal and the prevalence of open defecation contribute to the spread of diseases like cholera, typhoid, and malaria. Holistically, many shanties were built illegally on land allocated for formal development and planned road corridors, such as the N16 road corridor in Gwarimpa, preventing both allottees and government agencies from utilizing their land. This uncontrolled illegal occupation defaces the city and obstructs development.
In planning, we look at some of those things as problems, because shanties are places that mostly criminals use to harbor themselves, because maybe they could not they lack finances to be able to get a proper place to stay, so they live within the shanty areas. So those kind of places are threat areas, and within the master plan of FCT, shanties are not allowed.
FCT administration under Minister Nyesom Wike has adopted a firm stance with ongoing citywide demolition operations as a primary strategy, conducting extensive demolition exercise in various areas, including parts of Gwarimpa, Durumi, Area 1, Garki, and the UTC complex vicinity, clearing thousands of illegal structures.
You can see the shanties, the squatters, and also the people of questionable character. So as part of the city-wide sanitation exercise to enhance security, look at these structures. They are mostly made of shacks, temporary materials. So far so good. I believe we have cleared more than 1,000 around this place.
The FCT administration is taking firm action. Thousands of illegal structures are being cleared to restore order and keep the city on track with its development plans. In Abuja, Hawa Gimba for Dateline 360.
Elsewhere at the center of excellence, Lagos, the preferred metropolitan city for many, the burgeoning population has its own challenges of shanty settlements springing up at undesignated areas. Larry Bilay takes a look at shanty settlements in Lagos, its causes and effects.
Most shanty towns in Lagos sprout due to exigencies of living in densely populated areas, most of which are on open spaces and under bridges, while some are as old as the city itself, such as Makoko, a fisherman town built on stilts on the Lagos Lagoon. According to Lagos State government website, it estimates the state's population to be over 22 million. This has no doubt stretched infrastructural provisions of the state, leading to a housing deficit estimated at over 3.4 million units, forcing a large portion of the population to create shanty settlements. This has also given room for lack of social control mechanisms, formal infrastructure and services, invariably providing cover for criminal activity. This is not a refuge site. It is actually a shanty settlement demolished by the state government recently. Now, apart from it being a security risk to the state, one of the major reasons why Lagos State government embark on demolishing these shanty towns is the environmental and health hazards.
Environmental issues, particularly when it comes to the evacuation of waste and sewage, which contaminates the water around them and also the land. This can create breeding ground for disease-carrying vectors and can affect the community quite negatively and also the surrounding area.
Could be physical, mental, or social health challenges. Physical challenges include illnesses like gastrointestinal diseases like dysentery, cholera, for example, because of poor supply of clean water.
Lagos State residents are of the opinion that mitigating shanty settlements requires government at all levels to be intentional about building low-cost housing schemes.
And housing is one of the key areas that you can, apart from health, you understand, where you have various health schemes, for the masses, you should have various housing schemes for the masses.
The reason why all this thing is happening is because the cost of renting houses too exorbitant. So people need to just go and hide themselves where they think they can afford.
According to the law that is followed by Lagos State government, illegal structures does not deserve any compensation. So when these shanty towns are demolished, oftentimes there are no compensations for them. But there's still the challenge of people coming into Lagos and looking for places to live. There's still the challenge of expensive housing estate. So government has to be intentional in building low-cost housing estates, says Lagos State residents. In Lagos, Larry Bilay for Dateline 360.
And finally, unapproved settlements have now become a thorn in the flesh of local authorities as they are creating security concerns across the country. But how is the nation's security apparatus handling this? Let's hear from our defense correspondent, Francis Form.
Will come together. Then from there, a lot of thinking, different thinkings will crop up, giving protection to criminals.
For the Nigeria Police Force, these illegal settlements are more than just homes to the less privileged.
Shanties is part of civilization. You find it in every city in the world. Every city. It's not a Nigerian thing. It's about economic levels. You'd always have poor people. You'd always have rich people. So you call them shanties, but that's the home of some people. We need to clarify that not everybody that lives in a shanty is a criminal. Not everybody. We have law-abiding people there too. So we just work with members of the community. We patrol these areas often, regularly, to ensure that it doesn't become a a hotbed for criminality.
It is a vicious cycle, fueled by poverty, which creates desperation, and desperation breeds illegality, which nurtures insecurity. The government, through various urban renewal programs, has been making efforts to curb this trend through the Ministerial Task Force on Illegal Developments to state-level enforcement unit.
There have been a hard enforcement on clearance of shanties that have been serving as a safe haven to criminal elements, and there's been a lot of operations, Operation Sweep, which is ongoing. And this operation is targeted at clearing these shanties that these criminal elements use to hibernate. Most of the time, these people operate from these locations, and after carrying out their nefarious activities, they go back into this location that does not have an address. You cannot trace anybody there. And the more you allow such shanties to fester, the more the criminality that is being perpetrated against the good residents of the FCT. So the administration, in conjunction with all relevant agencies led by the Commissioner of Police FCT, have been up and doing in that, and that is why you can see the reduction of crime rates in the Federal Capital Territory.
Behind every unapproved structure lies a story of economic hardship, of broken systems, and sometimes of criminal opportunity.
The high cost of living is also another factor, because people nowadays, not everybody can eat 3 times. So, and hunger has no tribal mark. Anybody can be criminal.
The police say their strategy now includes community engagement and intelligence gathering to ensure that well-meaning Nigerians in these areas are not punished for crimes they did not commit.
There is no community that is too far away from an outpost or a police station. So even the shanty you are talking about, the one in Abuja, I'm sure that just 1 or 2 kilometers away, there will be a police station. So we are not unmindful of that. We spread our police presence in such a way that everybody has access to the police. We don't ignore and sideline shanties because they are shanties. And we also rely on people to give us information so that we can take necessary action before danger is experienced or recorded.
Indeed, coordination is key. Security experts argued that a unified approach involving the Ministry of Works, Housing, Environment, and security agencies can stem the tide of unplanned growth and criminal infiltration.
A cause of concern not only to the administration but to even individual residents in the FCT. So my advice is for people to look for decent accommodation even in the area at the various area councils, because life has become better in the area council.
Community policing initiatives are also gaining traction, encouraging residents to serve as the eyes and ears of law enforcement. When communities cooperate, criminal hideouts are exposed faster and trust is built between citizens and the state. As cities expand and housing becomes ever more expensive, the temptation to settle anywhere continues to grow. But as many have learned, what begins as a refuge for desperate can quickly turn into a breeding ground for crime. For Dateline 360, Francis Fong.
And that's a wrap-up on today's episode. But before I go, let me leave you with this quote by Martin Luther King Jr. "Let us be dissatisfied until slums are cast into the junks heap of history, and every family will live in a decent, sanitary home." So, thanks for staying tuned. See you same time next week. God bless Nigeria.